Well, here we are, the end of a fall day. Things come apart. My herbs are all inside. I put in a apricot tree which did not take. It died. In the far distance there's a house cap, and then a bunch of wildflowers and clover that I planted. Walking onions in here. See my strawberries gone crazy. Some of the wildflowers, BALM, clover, and another house cap is in here somewhere under these wildflowers. Oh yeah. There it is. That, it took like 40 days from bare root planting. My pots are done. Some asters, black-eyed Susans, BALM, which I still want to transplant into the soil. This is a ground cherry, which got lots of flowers, cherries on it, and still flowering like mad. Herbs are doing very well. Sage, rosemary, chives, dill. I cut a bunch of those. I was very successful. There's my Lobush blueberry. Some transplants that I did in the heat wave. That one there, beautiful flowers. Leeks, which have to come out. Daikons, they went to seed immediately in the heat, and now my brassicas some of them are going to seed. So, I'm gonna have to trim this west side next to the hothouse down significantly and try to drive the thing to bend over and come down. My phlox, it's spread a couple spots. And of course these lupins, they spread like mad. This is my triple plum, which I put in this year. I've got to reimagine my pruning strategy for these fruit trees. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it at the top a bit. I'm going to trim these back a bit and keep it open in the center. For the beans, these are doing great on the trellis. They really climbed up there, but you notice they're just flowering right now. Here I've got the beans climbing, and also a bed of beans. As you see, as you look in here, a couple of varieties. These ones are just about ready to harvest. On the other side, sugar snap peas. Not doing great. I think it was too hot. I figured the beans would just keep going and go straight up, but they've kind of got a anti-gravity. One of the things that I'm thinking is that I've got this space, this caterpillar trellis, that I could fill in with a more permanent vine, that I'm thinking grapes might do that. And another interesting thing is these beans in this system, when I get up to the point where the arch starts to bend over, then the beans, when they fruit, they send out a little fruiting stalk. So what you end up with is you've got an arch with your fruit hanging right down in your face. So it's perfect for harvesting. Egyptian walking onions. My one grape that's been here a few years, I got one tiny bunch out of it. It's growing up, so I'm letting it grow up into my bird feeder, then cross over into this post with the idea I'm going to let it next year hopefully grow up and swing over to the top of my arch. Cherry bushes did well, as did my apples. Oh, they are so sweet and delicious. It's fantastic. Colored posts with the wires. Yeah, it was a mixed success. I got some beans eventually to grow way up, but I didn't get much harvest. My peas did poorly, except for these along the hothouse. And look at those, are totally munched by the rabbit. And on the kale, bugs got those. Also, as you can see here, I've got tremendous problems now with moles. And here's some of their handiwork. All right, let's get some more nut butter here. Okay, I got it in there. Now let's light it. It's lit. I've just finished with the pump, blowing out my drip irrigation. My asparagus bed has gotten established. Still got a lot of carrots in here I need to harvest. My ever-bearing raspberries, you can see, they're blooming. It's gonna be -7 here tonight. So that's not gonna take, but they should overwinter, and then the tips will produce nothing next year where there's blooms, but everything down below, all the way down, will put out branches, and we should have a massive crop. Hothouse is just about shut down. Everything's taken out. I'm storing my drip tape in here, and dug out those bags. I got to do some work probably in the spring. I'm gonna fill up a box where those bags are, so I can plant in ground. Mushrooms that came up just before I left on holidays, and they grew like mad and then exploded. And what we see is lots of tomatoes in a pot on the right hand side, in the ground on the left. Now, the only thing that's really done anything of particular merit for harvest is the zucchini. As you look down on this plant here, you can see there's a nice zucchini. And I've also found I basically have to hand fertilize everything. These pumpkins here, we got a nice vine, but I hand fertilize these two, and that's why I've got fruit. My tomatoes in the ground have done fairly well. You can see this is like a beefsteak. Troughs, they finally kicked in. Harvesting cherries. Some beautiful, ripe, luscious, grape-sized cherries. There's a horseradish. Here's my jostaberry, looking good. That's a hazelnut in the middle of jostaberry. Over on the side on the trellis is some more Arctic kiwi. That's where I did the potatoes. Again, not very successful. I drew some artichokes. Here's one I pulled up. There's the ground level, inch below ground level. A nice looking potato. See those little potato seedlings? There's ground level. The seed potato is way down here, like 2 feet below. And then in the front, we've got the Arctic kiwi. Look at, there's a fruit right there. It did well. It's gone way up into the eaves. So finally in the front, I got clover, I got some wildflowers. And this little guy, which I planted last year, it finally came up. Got about a dozen raspberries and lots of clover. These raspberries should all bloom next year, although I did get about a dozen or so. Out in the side yard, I've got these bags of leaves, which I've been gathering from a local park, and shredding them with a shredder, and then mixing them in to my compost pile in layers, lasagna layers with greens, shredded leaves, lots of water. And this is the second bin. This is the one that I did earlier in the year, and I turned and moved over here.